This series that I'm doing now is to teach you how to do metal framing, the proper way to do metal framing. So I'm doing these three walls, which are short, but it's going to give you quite a bit of information. Layout, how to rough frame for doorways, three different styles, and how to do your metal studs. Just look for the parts, go through them. You can back up, you can do whatever you want. And this way, hopefully, this will teach you how to be able to be a metal framer. If you have any comments, I'd be glad to answer any of your questions. Just go ahead and make a comment or email me at buildingwithpapa@gmail.com. Well, I hope you enjoy this video. Well, these are the studs for your inside corner so that you're able to screw your drywall on the inside corner. Well, now we have already put up all the headers and the cripples. So I have one more cripple here. I'm going to install it. I put them at 16 on center. Turn the stud in. When you go to screw it in, put your screw in towards the edge with the face, so it's the hardest area when you're screwing your screw in. See, with that face there, that's where you want to screw in. If you go by the edges, you see how flexible they are. The screw will just push it in, and it's going to make it so much harder to get your screw in the stud. Get them screwed off all the way through on both sides. Now we're going to start this wall. Taking these studs. Now notice the notch goes to the bottom. That's how you know the stud is in correctly. This is the inside stud for the inside corner. Now I'm going to put the end stud in. Going to screw it off right at the end. Remember, to the back side of the stud, screw it in. Do both sides. Okay. Now, I have already cut the top track like I showed you before. Remember, this is your splice cut. This way it's going to go over the outside of the stud. And then I'll put this stud in it to hold up the track. Now I'm putting this splice there, and I put a screw in to hold it. Now I want to screw the track in to the face of the stud, because I have the stud braced off, so I know it's plumb both directions, and I don't want the track to move. Get it secured. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my inside stud. Get it screwed off while I'm on this side. Okay, now I already know that the track is the right length because I cut it and matched the bottom. But I'll plumb it. It goes right to the end, right where it should be. Throw a clamp on it. Once you have it correct, move your level so it doesn't fall while you're trying to screw in the stud. Alright, I'm going to put this temporary brace in so it helps stiffen up the wall while I get all the other studs in. So I'm tack this off here. Go ahead and use your clamp. It makes it easy for you to plumb the wall. Bring it into plumb. Clamp it. Okay. Now that's plumb. Let's screw it off. Now if this was in another area where you would have to get braces off to the ceilings, while you're down here, this is how you can put it in temporarily, and then later on get on a taller scaffold to be able to brace it off to the ceiling or to wherever you need to brace it off, to a bar joist or whatever. Okay, now we're going to do the opening. Remember, this one is just an opening. No doors going in here, so we're just going to frame it in metal studs. You don't need a 2x4 here. The metal stud is more straight and true than a wood stud anyway. Alright, I'm going to put this stud in this pocket. I'll show you what we're going to do and how we're going to stiffen up this opening with it. This is the leg for the one side of the opening. You have your layout and your marks on the bottom, so you just bring your stud out to that mark and screw it off. Do both sides. Okay, now we'll plumb up the opening. Already know the width. Both of them are on their marks, but I'm going to go ahead and plumb up this side anyway. Now at this point you could either plumb up the other side or measure over. As long as you know that one's plumb, you do know the opening. I have my level here, my clamp, so I'm just going to go ahead and plumb it. Let's get it screwed off both sides. Okay, now I have the stud behind the other stud. And this is going to stiffen up the opening, because when you go to put drywall on, the drywall guys tend to push on the stud and make it go out of whack. If you use this stud in the middle, you screw in through the face, and it's going to stiffen up this stud very good, so your drywall guys don't mess up your opening. Now, this could have been done another way, with using a box where you put the studs the opposite direction with a cap on it. Then you would use a shoe header, but because I want to show you an ear header, this is another way to strengthen your stud or your opening, and then you don't have to worry about when your piecework hangers come in and that they mess up your opening. All right, here's a still view of that stud inside the other stud. Okay, this is the other side. You can see it, it's all the way down the middle. See it through the hole? I screwed it in to that, and now that stud is much more secure. Do the same thing to the other one, on the other side of the opening. It's going to make your stud so much stronger, and you're not going to have to worry about it being a belly in the middle once the drywall goes up. All right, here's your ear header. Remember, I told you about this before. Measure up, okay? This one you measure up 80.5, or closer to 80 5/8. You include the metal corner bead. Put your mark. Slide your header in. Clamp it on your mark. Well, with the other stud there, I couldn't get it in, but I have the mark, so I'm going to screw it off there. Square up your header. You can use your speed square or eyeball it. It's up to you. You're doing it long enough, you can eyeball it. If you're just starting out, use your speed square. All right, now let's level that header. I don't have a 2-foot level with me, so I use a 4-foot, but I bring it to the outside on one end and the opposite side out on the other end, so it crosses through the whole opening. I've already clamped it. Now I'm going to screw it off. Again, square it up. Get it screwed off both sides. Okay, I've already cut my cripple. You don't want to make them too tight, but you want them to be tight enough. You know, they're a little bit harder to put in on the angle, and then it loosens right up. You have that little gap. Go ahead and get these screwed off. Now, because these are small walls, I'm just putting my cripple right in the middle of the header. If you were doing a longer wall, you would want to make sure you did your 16 on center so that your drywall would break on the center of the stud. Because you don't want to break your drywall on the edge. You want to be, if you're going to break it over a doorway, you do it up in the center. Preferably, I don't like breaking drywall in an opening. I like to go past it with a full sheet and cut out the opening. All right, let's get this screwed off. I'm going around and make sure I have all my screws in. We're going to get them all screwed off on all sides, and then we're going to have these walls, the framing is complete. Next, I'm going to do a ceiling so you can see how to do a metal ceiling. All right, see you in the next one.